It opens with a shot of some train tracks and a red car drives quickly past, going from left to right. This is a very important shot that will make sense later, and I haven't seen anyone else talking about this one, so stay tuned. Inside the car are a young couple on their way to a date. The car radio is playing Bad Moon Rising by Creedence Clearwater. We can hear the lyrics, "I see troubles on the way. Don't go round tonight, it's bound to take your life." Your first clue. The choice of band is also a clever nod to Clear Rivers, a character from Final Destination 1 and 2. They pull up to where they're going and the radio is playing Ring of Fire by Johnny Cash. They're going to the opening night of the Skyview restaurant, a venue 494 feet in the air with a glass floor. What could possibly go wrong? As they enter, Johnny Cash sings the lyrics, "It burns, burns, burns." A small child steals a coin from a fountain and is told by a police officer, "Don't do that, it's bad luck." They have their picture taken before they go up, and I think this is a clever nod to Final Destination 3, where photos play an important part. The sound that the camera makes is pretty much identical to the one in those movies, despite them being entirely different technologies. They go up in the lift to the top of the Skyview and more clues to warn them to turn back. The lift doesn't close properly and is pushed shut. They ascend and are told by the front of house they're over capacity and can't let more people in. I'm not sure why you'd want to be almost 500 feet in the air in something that's over capacity, but they decide to sneak in and pretend like they belong there. We see fire kind of rising up out of a frying pan and someone cracking the top of a creme brulee dessert. These are massive giveaways for what's about to happen. The main character then pricks herself on a rose and it draws blood. This is a nod to Final Destination 5, where that character pricks his finger right before his premonition and right before the ending. Meanwhile, a champagne bottle cork is popped and hits the chandelier and making a part of it loose. The live band is singing the lyrics, "Tumble from the sky, you're the reason why." The singer finishes her song and finds Iris trying not to be sick, asking how far along she is, revealing that our main character is pregnant and the singer's child is there. This little guy who'll be important later. The happy couple go to the rooftop balcony for some air, and the kid from earlier is throwing pennies from the top before being told by an officer, "Don't throw that, you'll kill somebody." Meanwhile, Iris's boyfriend proposes to her and she says yes. As they leave, the little punk kid throws the coin, but instead of falling all the way down, it is sucked into a vent and jams a fan, stopping it from spinning. The live band are singing "You Make Me Wanna Shout," and everyone is dancing and stomping their feet on the glass floor. They're having fun, except the loose chandelier part has fallen and caused a crack in the glass. Meanwhile, that fan starts spinning again and fires the penny into a pipe that starts spraying gas. The party keeps going until the glass floor cracks and people start tumbling from the sky, whilst the radio downstairs plays "Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head." A bunch of people fall to their end, including Iris's now fiancé, and everyone starts to run. An old lady is engulfed in flames from the chef's hot pan, remember the fire. She runs to where the gas is spraying out and it absolutely explodes, setting the place ablaze. And given the Skyview shape, you might even call that a ring of fire, if you see what they did there. Everyone is trying to escape, but no one's making it very far. The singer hides her son in a cabinet and then is burned. It is a big disaster sequence of people just trying to escape. The kid that threw the penny escapes down the stairs before they collapse. The lift malfunctions and drops with people inside it, and lots of people meet their end in very terrible ways. Then the entire Skyview tips, with people falling against the windows. When it looks like things might calm down, that cursed penny is back and drops on top of a piano, causing it to slide and fall right into a woman's face, smashing through the windows and taking a lot of people with it. We then cut to downstairs where that brat kid has escaped and is running away laughing, and the piano falls on his head. Perfect. This leaves Iris as the last person alive except for one. The boy emerges from the cabinet and they try to escape together, but both meet their end. And when they do, we cut to our actual main character, Stephanie. It seems that Stephanie is having nightmares about what happened in 1968, so what does it all mean? It turns out that Stephanie's been having this same nightmare every time she falls asleep. She thinks she might be dreaming about her grandma, who is called Iris, so she travels home to find out what happened to try to stop the dreams. We meet Steph's dad and we find out the mum left a long time ago, and we meet her brother Charlie. Steph takes him to the cousin's house so she can ask about Grandma Iris. Here's another Easter egg. When they arrive, the cousins are playing Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat has a special X-ray move that shows bones breaking, and it's also what happens at the end of Final Destination 4. Steph's saying hi to the fam and asks the dad about the grandma. It turns out she's considered crazy by the family. That when his father died, Iris snapped, locked the kids inside the house, obsessed over keeping them safe. That him and Stephanie's mother were taken away by the state, that she's a dangerous person and to stay away. But the mum of the cousins gives her a hint where to find the address, and she goes to see her. It turns out that Iris, the grandmother, is the surviving woman from the beginning. She's living in a cabin behind scary gates with all kinds of dangerous junk lying around outside. Iris reveals that the dream that Stephanie is having, she saw as a vision, a premonition on the day in 1968. We flash back to the disaster and we see Iris stop the events from happening. She grabs the penny from the brat to stop him throwing it. She covers the pan for the fire. She gets on stage and tells everyone to get off the dance floor right before it cracks. She saves a lot of lives that were never meant to be saved. And that's the problem, as Iris fills her in on the premise of the films. Death comes back to take the people that were supposed to die. She started to work this out and has been tracking the deaths of everyone who survived that day ever since. The way that death works in these movies is that you're picked off in the order that you should have died on the day of the tragedy. Everyone else is dead at this point, and it's now come for Iris, giving her cancer. She wants to teach Stephanie what to do and how to survive because it's going to be coming for the family next. There's only one thing Iris can do to convince her, so she steps outside to follow her and to give her her special book of research and says, "Step back." Almost immediately, a weather vane falls off of the roof, hits a tank of compressed air, and is rocketed through her head, covering Steph in claret. So now she believes. You might think this is annoying of Steph and that she got Iris killed after all that time surviving, but Iris did this to protect her family. If she hadn't, Steph would have left, Iris would have died of every precariously placed glass is an accident waiting to happen. Meanwhile, Steph is at home. She's refused to go to the barbecue because of her relationship with her mother. The wind blows. The book is spilled out on the floor, encouraging her to study and research and look at the ways that people can meet their end. She finds the cursed penny taped inside of the book. A photo smashes and a shard of glass slides out towards her. Something is showing her that danger is coming. Is it death or someone else? Steph, realizing what's going on, starts to race over to the barbecue to prevent any accidents. Bobby is jumping on the trampoline with a sharp rake underneath, and Steph's estranged mother Darlene spots it and moves it out of the way. This is to show how she was brought up by Iris to see danger everywhere, that she was taught from a young age to spot the signs, and it's natural to her. What you need to know is that she kind of has done the same thing to her daughter, because Steph has this same power to spot danger, signs, and patterns. And this is when it all goes wrong, because Bobby falls through the rip in the trampoline, which distracts the daughter Julia, who knocks the Jenga over, which tips the cup that has the glass shard in it out onto the grass. Then Steph arrives, and Howard, the dad, walks to greet her, but steps on the glass and falls backwards onto the floor. The rake that Darlene propped up falls over, starting a lawnmower which runs over his face. It is disgusting. It's another classic Rube Goldberg machine of doom that this series loves so much. We have another funeral, and Steph studies the book and the pattern. Lots of mentions of someone called JB. We'll find out who that is. She decides to share her findings with the rest of the family to try to protect them, but they don't believe her. They think she's crazy. She continues to try to convince them, talking about the rules of death and the order that they'll be picked off in, saying that it's going in order of the bloodline, that Eric is next, then Julia, then Bobby, then Darlene, then Steph, then Charlie. But no one takes her seriously. We cut to Eric closing up at work in the tattoo shop that he works at, and it's the scene from a very long trailer where he gets his nose ring caught in a ceiling fan chain as accidents happen that set the place on fire. But the camera cuts away before you see anything, which is very unlike this series, so you assume that he has survived. And you'd be right, because Steph and Charlie head over worried about him and find him alive and well. They are walking along the street with him as Steph is seeing patterns of danger everywhere and trying to warn him while he mocks her openly. Eric is the annoying, full of himself character in the same vein as Carter or McKinley. There's one in every Final Destination movie, and you can't wait for them to get got. But there's a twist here. It doesn't happen to him. The sister Julia comes out to go for a jog and is running behind them, and everything that Stephanie just said happens to the sister. She ends up in a trash bin and is lifted into a garbage truck and crushed in one of the most horrific cover-my-mouth scenes that I've seen in a while. This makes the family believe it's true, but if it is, then why wasn't Eric next? The mum confesses to an affair, and the dad should have been on Maury and heard, "You are not the father. Eric is not Howard's son, and that's why he survived. He isn't a part of the bloodline, and he isn't a target." That doesn't really explain why he had such a weird accident coincidentally the day before, but I guess it's just a mystery, and there is a red herring. So with Julia dead, sweet innocent Bobby, who has a peanut allergy, is next, and they're trying to work out how to protect him. They decide to track down this mystery JB from the book to see if they know more information. Darlene remembers Iris talking about JB working at a hospital called Something River. Was it Clear River, she says? But it's actually called Hope River, and they head there all together. They find JB, John Bloodworth, played by Tony Todd, a recurring character in the franchise who always offers some wisdom or advice to the group that's in a pickle. He appears in most of the movies in the franchise, and it turns out that JB, this iconic character in the series, is the small child that Iris saved at the Skyview. They've been in touch ever since, tracking the weird occurrences that have happened when people have avoided death. This explains why JB has had such an insight into the Reaper's rules and the signs that come about through the movies. And now he shares the rules with this group, saying the only way to avoid death is to kill or to die. If you kill someone, you get the time that that person had left, or if you die and get brought back to life, you avoid death and break the chain. But it's risky to do that, and when you mess with death and lose, things get very messy. It's at this point that JB says he's tired, that he's sick, just like Iris, and his days are numbered. He is the last in the line, and once this group die, he'll be next, so he's retiring and going to enjoy the time that he has left. Before he leaves, he says, "I suggest you do the same. Life is precious. Enjoy every single second. You never know when. Good luck." Which not only beautifully sums up the core message of these movies, but is a fitting parting message from Tony Todd, the actor behind the character. He sadly died of stomach cancer in November 2024 before this film came out, and they knew that he was ill at the time and asked him to write these lines himself. The directors told Tony, "Say what you want to say to the fans with this moment," and he did. It's a sad and touching highlight of the entire franchise. You can really feel that he means it when he says it, because this is a man that was actually facing death very, very soon. There have been lots of theories over the years of what his character really is and represents. Is he the Grim Reaper? Is he the devil? Turns out he's a child who survived just like everyone else thanks to someone else's premonition, and death has been coming for him this whole time too. Rest in peace, Mr. Todd. Eric, being the moron half-brother, sneaks Bobby away to try to save him all on his own for some reason. He says he's going to kill him and have the hospital bring him back, taking him to an MRI room and telling him to eat nuts. Not like that, you filthy thing. He's going to give him a peanut butter cup and trigger his allergy. Just one problem. The Reaper has made moves and the MRI machine starts to power up. And the one thing you don't want to do is have metal near an MRI machine, so Eric putting his brother in a wheelchair is not the smartest choice. The machine gets set to some secret setting and powers up to dangerous levels. It pulls Eric's piercings out from across the room, including in a very intimate place. Before he is pinned to the machine with the wheelchair being magnetically pulled towards it, and is just kind of like squished into it very slowly and horrifically. It's disturbing. While that happens, Bobby's having a reaction to the nuts and struggles to get his EpiPen and use it. But when the door is opened to the MRI room, a spring flies out of the vending machine that Eric beat up to get the deadly snack out of, and it flies right through Bobby's puffy cranium. The brothers are gone, and Darlene is next on the list. She does what any good mother would do and volunteers to lock herself away in Iris's cabin to give her children a chance at life. They drive back to Iris's house to hide her away in there. As long as she stays alive, her children will be safe. As they are leaving, the cursed coin falls out of the book and is picked up by an old lady. This will come back later, don't you worry. They get to the cabin, but Steph's seatbelt gets stuck, and she tells them to leave her and get inside. But when Mama D opens the door to the cabin, an ember floats down from the roof into the house as a plant pot falls, cracks open a gas valve, and the entire cabin blows up, taking Darlene with it and knocking the van that Steph is stuck in into a pond of water with her still seatbelt stuck inside. I don't know why, for someone so scared of death, Iris had all of these dangerous things and death traps outside of her home and not just living in the middle of a clear field, but there we go. She liked to live dangerously whilst hiding in a cabin. Perhaps she was studying these things from her window and logging them in her book to see how death moved them, I don't know. Charlie is trapped under a part of the cabin, but surprise, Darlene is still alive. She uses the last of her life to pry her son free with heroic mum strength before she's flattened by some debris. It's then up to Charlie to save Steph, diving into the vehicle to try to get her free, but Steph drowns. But she comes to. Charlie has pulled her free and brought her back to life. They're safe. They think they've done what JB has said by dying and coming back to life. They have broken the chain and are safe to continue with their lives. But they would, of course, be wrong. We cut to the future, and it's time for Charlie to go to prom. They are outside his date's house and Steph pricks her finger adjusting the rose in his jacket. This is really important and we'll discuss it at the end. Meanwhile, we see the old lady nearby who picked up the penny buying a cookie from a child's lemonade stand. The cursed penny falls out of her purse, rolling down the steps and onto railway tracks, lodging the changeover track from closing completely. And congratulations if you caught this, it's the exact same railway track from the very first shot of the movie. And then the exact same car comes racing, this time from right to left across the screen. I don't think a lot of people caught this one, but where they are right now is the exact spot where the movie opened. Interesting. Steph meets the dad of Charlie's date and he's a doctor. He makes a comment that Charlie didn't really bring Steph back from the dead. If she was just unconscious and Charlie got her breathing again, then her heart never stopped and she never actually died, revealing to them that they have not broken the cycle. The exact same red car that the couple were driving in at the beginning drives past in the background and Steph starts seeing the signs of death making a move. And it's a very big move because death literally throws a train at her. The penny getting stuck in the rails causes a train to derail and come through the trees right for her and her brother. They run from it and think they've got away from it, but it was carrying logs on the back which fly over the top and take out Steph and Charlie in quick succession. Pricking her finger before the disaster strikes is a very strong indication that what we see at the end of the movie is in fact a premonition and not what really happened. If the credits didn't roll, we would see her come out of her premonition and warn Charlie. They would start another cycle of running and escaping death together. This is, however, left open to interpretation, and I don't expect a sequel to follow Steph and Charlie. However, I think Steph may survive and show up. That has happened before with Clear River in the institution in Final Destination 2. Some evidence points towards it not being a premonition and they did actually eat it, and that is that it's not really a big enough disaster to warrant one, because we only get to see it get Steph and Charlie. But reminder, this is a train derailing, a huge disaster. And it's been done before. It's the exact second premonition that ends Final Destination 3, when the visionary in that movie has a vision of their train derailing, and that is when the movie ends, when she comes back from the premonition. The movie ended on a cliffhanger to see if she would ever be able to change the future or not, but we never met this character again. Personally, I'm leaning towards a premonition, but you never escape death for long, and I'm not sure we'll see Steph and Charlie again. Nor do I think that we should. I think the next movie should follow the next batch of people. Let me know what you think in a comment. So, is the movie tied to the other movies? Because this is what people are getting wrong. Final Destination Bloodlines is not linked to the other movies other than how death operates and his rules and it taking part in the same universe. The series is a sequence of different disasters, people escaping death and death cleaning up. Some people are trying to say that the end of this movie shows that Iris saved family members of the previous visionaries from Final Destination 1 through 5. To say that Iris saved Alex's grandfather and that's why he was a visionary able to save his friends on the plane, which leads to all of the events of Final Destination 1, is absolutely insane. People are calling it a closed loop from 1 to 6, that it sums up all of the other movies and there's nowhere to go from here. That is categorically wrong. Death's rules are very clear, and in none of the other films did accidents happen to the parents beforehand. They all start with a premonition and people surviving. This is just how death operates in this universe, and we happen to have seen 6 things that have happened. There are nods to the previous movies in this one, and even the clippings and sketches in Iris's book, but it was her studying weird deaths, survivors, and accidents that take place after tragedies, not just the survivors of her own tragedy at the Skyview. And listen, I can see how people thought this because I thought it crossed my mind when I was sat there watching the film. I don't think they made it clear that it's not. But if you actually sit and think about it for more than 5 minutes, it doesn't make any sense. You could consider the first 5 movies a closed loop, since number 5 is secretly a prequel to number 1. With Death finally getting the 2 survivors of number 5 with a plane accident revealed in a stunning twist to be the plane that the survivors are on in the very first Final Destination. They get off, which starts their film, which can kind of be considered a loop, but 2, 3, 4, they're very, very loosely linked to the other movies. Other than the recurring rules and some recurring characters, there are no direct accident tie-ins, and I don't think Bloodlines refers to every character that has appeared so far. If anything, the Bloodlines angle is an intentional new twist to take it away from the first 5 and to do its own thing. I do, however, think a sequel should return to the formula of the previous 5. So what's up with that cursed penny? The penny that caused the entire events of the movie is a recurring item throughout and causes the big accident at the beginning and at the end. It's brought into the movie by a child stealing it from the fountain and being told that's bad luck, and bad luck it was. He's told by a cop, don't throw it off the tower, you'll kill somebody, and kill somebody it did. First of all, it is clearly a symbol of how little things can change the course of many lives. Something as simple and as small as a penny, and where it ends up and where it goes and the journey that it travels can have massive, massive ripples for the entire world. The penny is also kind of an evil cursed object, the opposite of a talisman. It is a bad penny. Was it cursed with bad luck by being taken from the fountain, or was this kid evil? There's something very off with this kid, stomping the glass floor in the elevator, chucking pennies off the roof trying to hit people. He's made to look bad and is a bad penny himself, bringing this misfortune to others. And a possible third secret meaning, in my opinion, this one is a bit of a reach, but bear with me. Have you heard of a Memento Mori coin? It's a coin sold by Stoic philosophy stores which represents the phrase Memento Mori, which means, remember that you must die. They are usually inscribed with the phrase and are meant to be physical reminders to carry with you, to remember it and to live by it. And in Final Destination 3, a coin flip decides who actually dies in the disaster sitting at the front of the coaster and who will cheat death by sitting at the back. What do you think? Either way, it's a fun little idea, and the symbolism is right there. In terms of where she ranks in the visionaries of the series, I think she is one of the weakest. The series has never found a survivor as likable and as enjoyable as Alex from Final Destination 1. Though my personal favourite is number 3 because I love that roller coaster opening, I love that group of characters and the vibe of the whole movie, and I love Mary Elizabeth Winstead. As for what you could do in the sequel, you could maybe explore the idea of there being 2 opposing forces, because there is quite a lot of theories out there that death is not the only force in this world, and that there is an opposing force, A, giving the premonitions, and B, giving the clues. Or is death just a playful a-hole who likes to play with his food, described by John Bloodworth as a cat that has us the mouse by the tail? And that is Final Destination Bloodlines. Where does it rank in this series for you? For me, it is absolutely up there. It is a fantastic film, and I had so much fun watching it. I love the new twist. There are some things that felt lacking as a fan of the franchise. The opening disaster is not as strong as the others, and it felt more like a big disaster movie. And I would put it up there with 1 and 3 up in that top echelon, with the other ones all underneath. Some of them are absolutely atrocious, but those 3 are absolutely worth watching. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you thought in a comment. Check out one of those videos on the screen for more from me. Make sure you hit that subscribe and find everything else that I do in the links below this video. I've got a gaming channel where I play games in a chill manner, and you can fall asleep to that. Or I've got a podcast where I read audiobooks to you for free. You can find that as well as everything else in the description. Until next time, remember to enjoy every moment because you never know when. Good luck and good night.